Well, the decision to put any loved one in a nursing home is one of the toughest decisions that probably anybody faces. There's a lot of angst that goes with that, trying to make sure, is it time? Are they no longer able to care for themselves? And if you're convinced that that's the case, is it the right home? But we all assume or trust that once we make that decision, that the most basic needs are going to be taken care of. And of course, one of our most basic needs is adequate food and water and staying nourished and hydrated. And unfortunately, it is a chronic problem, dehydration and malnourishment in nursing homes. It happens millions of times each year. It's extremely common. The latest statistics show that there are approximately 1.6 million Americans living in nursing homes now, and studies have shown that 1/3 of those persons are malnourished or dehydrated, at least to some extent. And obviously, the health risks that come from that condition, particularly with the elderly, you can see just a shutdown of systems, and we've seen that. We've seen deaths result from this. To basic health issues like tooth decay, anemia, but it's a very serious problem and it's very common. I think the biggest reason it happens is probably understaffing, and that is the cause of the vast majority of injuries that we see in nursing home situations. With nursing homes, you can have the small nursing home operated by somebody that lives in the community, but what you often have, and you don't realize this, you have these huge corporations that own this large number of nursing homes. Those corporations, in many instances, basically they're just renting beds. And so every shortcut that they can take in terms of what they're spending to run the nursing homes, it has an effect on their profit margin. And there's been a study done. Sarah Greenberger is an expert in this field. She did a study that showed that in the worst nursing homes, now again we're talking about the worst nursing homes, but that in those homes that I believe it was over 80% of the residents were either malnourished or dehydrated, and between 30 to 50% of the residents were underweight. And again, that's a concern for any of us, but when you're talking about the elderly, it's a recipe for disaster. One of the things that you can look at if you're considering putting a loved one in a nursing home is to get statistics. And fortunately, there's a pretty good database. Medicare and Medicaid pay for the vast majority of costs related to nursing home stays. And we're talking about a huge amount of money, over $75 billion a year in costs paid by those two federal agencies. And because of that, they do a number of studies. And one of the things they look at is what is the staffing ratio in the nursing home. And to give you some idea of the importance of that when it comes to people not being malnourished or dehydrated, it's estimated that there should be a nursing assistant or a CNA during the evening dinner hour, the evening meal, of one staff member per 2 to 3 residents. And in some nursing homes, it can be one staff member during that evening meal to 12 to up to 15 residents. And if you've got a situation where that person is so overwhelmed trying to make sure that people are being fed properly, that they're getting enough liquids, you're going to have things slip through the cracks because they just can't keep up. If you've had a family member who has suffered either severe injury or unfortunately has died, and one of the causes that the doctors are looking at is dehydration and malnourishment, or if you just suspect that's the case, then I would urge you to call our law firm to get a free assessment of your case. It's free. There's no charge for this consultation, but I think that you owe that to your loved one and to your peace of mind. There's a lot of guilt that people experience with these cases because many times they feel like, well, I made the decision to put my mom in that facility or my dad in that facility. And that's something that needs to be overcome because oftentimes what you were sold or what was marketed to you simply is not what was provided. So you can call our firm at 843-554-3100. We'd be happy to have one of our nurse consultants review the situation and to give you a free evaluation of the case.